Welcome to episode 527 of the show. Today, we're going to keep riffing on about expectations that we have when it comes to looking for customers and users for our great business idea. Now, yesterday, we mentioned that business growth requires customers or users, depending on whether you have a product or a service, or whether you have an app or a website or a newsletter or whatever it is that you want to do. Not everybody is going to be looking for paying customers right from day one, like the social networks that we are all on now. For instance, in the early days, Facebook just wanted all of us on as users, even though they weren't making a ton of money from us. So right now, they're making money from us because a bunch of us who run businesses pay for advertising or pay pay to advertise or pay to acquire people on our Facebook groups and things like that. So now Facebook is making money off of us, but in the early days, Facebook just wanted us there as a user. So not everybody needs a customer from day one. Some people just need users. But the bottom line is the episode that we had yesterday about prospecting, either yesterday or the day before, we explored how if you're not going to prospect, you're not going to get customers, you're not going to get users. And prospecting is all about looking for someone to talk to who could be a potential customer today, or sorry, a potential customer tomorrow, more like, or a potential user. And we went over some prospecting difficulties in the previous episode, or maybe the episode before that, 2 episodes prior. So I'm not going to go into that. But one thing that I did mention that I want to flesh out today is that sometimes a lot of the prospecting difficulties and the fear of rejection and everything comes because we have wrong expectations when it comes to looking for customers. For some reason, a lot of us believe that if you approach 10 people or 100 people, you're going to end up doing business with all 10 of them, all 100 of them, or maybe a majority of them, like 80 out of 100. But that is not the case. Now, the reason why it's not the case is because most people don't want what you have. They don't need your product or your service, or they can't afford your product or service. So it's not always the case that when you run into someone, that there is a magic confluence of all three, that the 10 people you met today at the business fair, or that you picked up when you called the phone, or whatever it is, it's uh, it's um it's absolute magic if the 10 people that you run into all had that perfect confluence that they wanted what you have, they need what you have, and they can afford what you have. That is not always the case. Now, what is the right set of expectations to have? I can't give an absolute answer because it depends a lot on the product, the service, the market, the industry. What else? There's a lot of variables that we have to explore. So I cannot give you an answer to say expect to do business with 10 out of 100 or expect to do business with 50% of the people that you run into. But Pareto is not a bad place to start because for some reason the Pareto principle, Pareto numbers, the law of unequal returns, whatever it is that people call it, seems to apply in lots of areas of life. That most of the returns that you get are going to come from a small input. And that's what is pouched under Pareto's law as the 80-20 principle. So, in other words, expect that if you talk to 100 people, that you should do business with 20 of them. That's not a bad place to start. Even if it's not exactly 20 out of 100, it sets the right expectations that not everybody wants what you have, not everybody needs what you have, and not everybody can afford what you have. Because believe me, that is some real magic confluence. Now, if you're about to start business today and you think that what I'm saying is BS, just speak to a friend of yours who's been in business for a while. Maybe you know someone who has been in car sales and ask him that out of 10 people who come to ask about cars, does he end up doing business with 2 out of 10? You'll find that that's not the case. In fact, you will find that for most people, if they end up doing business with half of the people who come to make inquiries, you'll find that those people will be rich, they'll be millionaires, they'll be absolutely ecstatic. Now, think about it. For That's your imaginary friend who runs a car dealership. He's there with the car dealership, and let's say 10 people come this week to look at cars, and then 5 people end up buying. He would consider that to be absolutely magical. Or your friend who runs a bakery, and 20 people call her in from Instagram, and she ends up doing business with 10 of those people. That is absolutely magic. So even 50% is unrealistic. So let's have the right set of expectations, and then prospecting is not going to be that hard. Because really, if you're only expecting to do business with 2 out of 10, but you end up doing one consistently every month, then you know that you're making progress, and it's about taking the feedback that you get from the conversations and the sales process, and trying to take that feedback on board so that you get better, so that you can go from 1 out of 10 to 2 out of 10 to 3 out of 10. And we did some of that math either in the last episode or 2 episodes back about how going from 1 a month to 2 a month sounds small, but the returns, when you consider your profit margins, are going to be quite qualitative to your business and your quality of life. So, prospecting is hard, and let's have the right expectations. If we have the right expectations, then we're going to be motivated enough to keep on prospecting tomorrow, next week, next month, all throughout the whole year. And that is what is going to, I was going to say guarantee that we'll have a successful business. But, in life, there are no guarantees. But it's something that definitely puts the odds in our favor that if we're prospecting reliably over time, that we're going to build successful businesses. So thank you very much for listening to episode 527. The great takeaway is that when it comes to looking for customers or users, let's have the right expectations, and let us expect that the input we're going to get initially when we're talking to people the returns that we're going to get initially when we're talking to people is going to be small. Let's be fine with that, optimize over time, and things are going to get better as we go along. So thanks for listening to today's episode. Remember that you guys can ask me anything by sending me a message on WhatsApp or Telegram. You can also send voice notes. And that is the number for that is 080-6466-2140. Again, the number for that is 080-6466-2140. The country code for Nigeria is +234. Again, the country code is +234. So thanks for your time and attention. I'll catch you guys at the next recording.